Yeah, this is a story that was down. The dog is just this day. What is it?
All right. You want to introduce yourself? Introduce yourself, the topic, the call-in number. Then you're going to go into the first song, right?
Welcome to the Master Christian Dog Show. I am Master Christian. My goal is to change lives one dog at a time. Today's topic is going to be building better relationships and a better line of communication with your dog. The phone number is 404-826-9232. That's for call-ins. The listen-in live number is 401-347-0418. We'll be right back. So we made it through that much.
Oh, nice. I was like, the pressure was mounting.
It's always pressure, Bianca. It's always pressure. Okay, this is Master Christian coming back at you with the Master Christian Dog Show on TheBeatDropsRadio.com, WBBE. The opinions of the Master Christian Dog Show are not necessarily the opinions of TheBeatDropsRadio.com, WBBE. The call-in line is 404-826-9223. The listen-in line is 401-347-0418. Today we're here to talk about a line of communication that people don't have with each other, but you need to have it with each other, and you need to have it with your pets. If you don't have a good line of communication, your pet's not going to do what you need it to do, and you're going to be very frustrated at home. So in first building a line of communication with your pet, you want to take a step back and relax. I know everybody's probably driving home from work and everything, and it's real stressful out there on the road. You might have had a bad day at work. Who knows what's going on? But we need you to take a deep breath and calm down so you can relax and be able to do what you need to do when you get home. Don't take it home with you. Your dog is waiting for you, haven't seen you all day, and it's going to need that positive energy that you bring. So once you get home, get your dog out to go to the bathroom. It doesn't matter if everybody's taking it out a million times while you've been gone. This is about building a bond. Building a bond means you need to be there. So don't just let the dog out the door. Take the dog out. Put it on leash. Walk it around. Let it go to the bathroom. Praise it for going to the bathroom. Praise is a big thing. I don't give treats. I do praise. Doing that, the dog starts to understand what I want from it. And having a good line of communication and understanding between me and my dog, we can do just about anything together. When I move, my dog moves. When I want to do something, my dog knows exactly what I want because I've shown it and I praised it when it did it right. When it didn't do it right, it's a simple correction. I let it know, hey, don't do it like that. So your first step after you take your dog to the bathroom when you get home, love your dog up for doing something for you. We've been missing that. I used to let him out the door and let him go in the yard, and I didn't even know if the gate was closed. Sometimes I'll walk out in my yard and my dog would be gone. It's wrong, but if you don't know, you don't know. I'm here to educate you on how to do it right, give you a couple tips, and let you know that you're not the only one that's experiencing these problems. Everybody has problems with their animal, but I'm here. The Master Christian Dog Show is designed to help you with any problems that you're having with your dog, no matter what. If I don't have the answers, we'll find the answers together because I don't know it all, but I do know how to handle the dog correctly, how to keep them safe, and how to do what we need to do. It's a lot of misconceptions that's been going on about dogs, about don't look the dog in the eye, the dog is feeling this way. We're going to explore some of these things because looking the dog in the eye is not necessarily bad. It depends on the intentions you have when you do look the dog in the eye. But it's a living thing. So you need to have some eye contact to have that line of communication. In that good line of communication, you want to be happy because your energy is going over where your dog is. So if you got bad energy, if you had that bad day, if you got in an argument, leave the dog alone. Don't leave it all the way alone. Take it out to the bathroom because it needs to go. It's going to be happy to see you. We want to do short hellos and short goodbyes, or no hellos and no goodbyes with your dog. Go in the house, get it, take it out, and enjoy the time that you spend. You captured this animal. Now it's time for you to interact with it on a higher level. It's not just there for you to pet it. Actually, pets are free affection. You don't want to give out free affection all the time because that is your tool. Like I said, I don't use treats. I don't use prawn collars. I don't use shock collars. I don't do anything that's going to be evasive or violent to the dog. No screaming and hollering because you want the dog to be your best friend. And having a best friend, you wouldn't just hit your best friend. So all that violent stuff that we've been doing, that our daddies did, that our granddaddies did, that our mamas might have did, let's ease back for a minute because in having a good line of communication, there's no violence. Violence only makes fear. So now you're home. You're relaxed. Your dog is going out to the bathroom. It's time to spend some quality time with your pet. Not up on the couch, down where you can see it and enjoy the time you're spending. In building a good line of communication with your dog, you'll start to build a good line of communication with your family because it's all inclusive. If you're arguing with your people at home, then you can't get along with the dog. There's a lot of times where you could have did a small thing and made something magnificent happen with your dog, but you missed it. When you miss it, don't feel bad. We miss a lot of things. We're humans. We're lazy sometimes. But just make a mental note and get back to it later. Make sure that you don't miss it the next time, because the next time it's going to hurt. I'm sitting here with Miss Bianca Burwell, and she really doesn't have a dog, but
Nope.
she has friends with dogs, and she knows that they come around frustrated. Then you lose your friends when you have a dog that's frustrating you. You can't go over their house. You don't know what to do. The dog jumps up on you. The dog comes out the rain and jumps and put his dirty paws on you. The dog runs out the door when the door gets opened up. And these things don't have to happen. You know, Bianca, that last dog that jumped on you, guess what? The person allowed it to.
I'm trying to understand the constant jumping up. Like, you don't see your dog being extra, and I really am not welcoming that right now.
Okay.
I don't want the dog.
You don't want the dog on you, right?
I don't. I
So-
don't own a dog because
You don't want the dog
I
on
don't
you.
want the dog on.
Well, see, the way to keep the dog off of you, Bianca, is the person that owns the dog has to be a little more responsible about what's going on. And if the dog hasn't been shown by the owner that not to jump up on people, why would it not jump up on people? If the dog is not on a leash, oh yeah, I just used the L word. The L word is a big word for me, because we use the leash in the house until the dog understands how to be responsible. It's a responsibility to be free in the house. This, too, increases your line of communication and the bond between you and your dog. It's not a punishment.
So let me ask you, are you saying in the beginning,
In the
it's
beginning,
good to have a leash on the dog in the house?
okay, in the
Or the
beginning, in the middle, and at the end, it's good to have a leash on the dog. I'm not saying keep a leash on the dog all the time, but until the dog is doing what you needed to do proficiently, you want to have a leash on the dog. When the puppy comes into the house, what normal people do is drop it on the floor and let it run around the house. Dog doesn't know that this is a house. It's a cave to them. They've just entered into a new cave. And what they're going to do with the cave, they're going to start marking it. They're going to start chewing on stuff. They're going to start doing things that dogs do. And we're going to look at it as bad behavior. But the behavior is coming from us, because behavior is something that we're doing wrong or something we're not doing at all. So when we put that dog on the floor and let it run around, sure, it's going to go urinate in another room and defecate in another room, because we're not in there to monitor it. It's just like letting a baby that just started crawling or just started walking free to do whatever it wants to do. It doesn't know.
Right.
So then we get mad and say it knows. It should know better. Nothing knows better. And then we try to control it with our voice. You know how much this voice is? I'm talking to you on the radio. I ain't seen my voice yet. The only words I see are the ones on paper, the ones in print. Your voice means nothing to a brain, to another living thing, unless it digested it and it wants to adhere to what you said. So with a dog, it doesn't speak English until you teach it.
How long have you been training dogs?
Well, I've been training dogs professionally for about 5 years, but I've been working with animals all my life. And I've been bitten, stung by everything. Been hit by 12 cars walking, been hit by one car on my motorcycle. God's taken care of me and shown me a way that even these human animals need a little touch-up every once in a while. They need a little education so they know how to deal with each other, and they know how to deal with the lesser animals that we bring into our homes. So my life has been, as a kid, I asked for National Geographic instead of a toy for Christmas. I wanted to learn, because the bees just kept stinging me. You know, the animals just kept biting me. The first animal to bite me was a gerbil. The last animal to bite me was a dog. We got a call coming in.
Yes, we did.
All right. This is Master Christian. How can we help you?
Hi, Master Christian. This is Malika.
Hey, Malika.
What's going on?
What's going on? How can we help you with your dog situation? What kind of dog do you have?
Well, this is for a friend of mine. I want to know what is the protocol for introducing your pet to your new baby?
Okay, so introducing your pet to your new baby is a very sensitive time, because you don't want the dog to be jealous or get upset about the new baby coming in. You want control. It's better to have some obedience training in the dog first before you try to introduce it to children, new babies and everything, so you understand the level of control that you need. If you don't, it's still some barriers that you need to make. And like I said a little while ago about keeping the dog on leash in the house, your baby is precious and it's new to your home. So you want to control the dog's movement around your baby and make sure that everything is good and positive. It's been a lot of cases with babies and pit bulls where the pit bull is getting a bad rap because people are leaving it alone with the baby. And that's not really proper for you to leave an animal alone with your child. Animals need to be monitored. Yes, they are friends, but they're still animals. People need to be monitored also. So why would you monitor a person more than you would monitor this animal? Now, they asked a question a couple weeks ago about jealousy. Yes, dogs do get jealous. If you had this dog for 5 years and you were its best friend, and then you have a baby and bring a baby in the house and you forgot about the dog and all you're doing is loving and kissing on the baby, yeah, there's some jealousy to be there, because now the dog is used to all of this free affection and it just disappeared on it. So you have this animal that's roaming free in your house watching you love up on this baby, and the baby is nothing but a puppy to the dog because it's small and weak. And dogs are, they come from the wild. They know about weakness, and they look at us and evaluate us all the time to see whether we're strong or weak. If we're not the strongest person in the pack, then they're going to start making their own rules and start telling us where to go and what to do up in your house.
Would it be correct to introduce like your baby blanket and things of that nature to the pet, you know, the smell, the skin of the baby, so that it can get acclimated to the smell?
Well, you take small steps in doing that, but the leash is your best friend, because the leash is going to help you control if the dog is trying to get too close to the baby, what the dog is doing. The leash is your physical line of communication, because it's a very sensitive time when you have a new baby in the house. And really, the dog doesn't even have to be a part of that if the dog is not going to act right. You can put it up, you can put it in another room. Good things are kennels. Some people use kennels because it's a bad dog. We never call a dog bad dog. It's always good girl, good boy. The kennel is a place of the dog's own where the dog can be itself, where it can chew, lick, scratch, and do whatever it wants. When it's outside the kennel, it needs to be some rules in your house. If there's no rules, then without rules, there's chaos. Something like what's going on in St. Louis, Missouri right now.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Master Christian.
All right, Malika, thank you for your call. All right, so Bianca,
Indeed.
you know, the pit bull thing. Pit bulls get a bad rap from every side, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
You know.
I guess we'll talk about that in the next segment coming up.
All
We
right.
got a couple of messages on the message board, so keep it locked right here. Master Christian Dog Talk Show. Keep it locked.
I know who sent that. This is Master Christian's Dog Show, and we're back at you. The call-in number is 404-826-9223. We got a couple messages on the message board that I'm going to address. It says, can the dog use the toilet? Well, my dogs use the toilet in my backyard all day, every day. But if we're talking about a human toilet, I would say yes. With the right training and everything, I would say they can use the toilet. That doesn't mean that they're going to leave it like they found it. That doesn't mean they're going to clean up the floor or anything else. But with the right training, I believe a dog can do anything that they're assisted with. You don't want to leave them to their own devices because they're a little compulsive. So something, you know, a fly by, a squirrel go by, a noise or anything can distract them. And then they might get a little obsessive about that. So, you know, don't leave them to their own devices because they're only going to do what they're doing for a little while. Dogs live in a constant state of panic unless you give them some structure and some guidance so they can go on with what you need them to do. They're not just out here to do what you want them to do unless you show them. Now, when dogs are in the wild, they live in a pack, and they have a pack order and a structure to what's going on, so they can function without us. But in our houses, we need them to function with us. We need to be good police of our houses. Now, that brings me back to what we were talking about a little earlier about the pit bulls. Pit bulls are great dogs, but they get a bad rap because people do bad things with them. People don't know, or we as people are a little cocky on what we're doing. And pit bulls have been trained to fight each other over generations and generations. Pit bulls used to be the nanny dog, and then they got taken in there, the dog fighting dog. That's not a real big thing if you treat the dog right, because all pit bulls are not dog fighters. All pit bulls are not going to harm your child. But any dog left alone with your child must be monitored. So don't leave them alone with your child. A little something I mentioned earlier about not giving dogs treats. Let me tell you guys, food is food is food is food. And treats are definitely another form of food. So with the dog, you want what you're feeding for, you're feeding so they get the vitamins and nutrients that they need, and you're feeding for cleanup. What you want when you feed your dog, you want hard stool. You want something that you can either use a tool, a bag, your hand, whatever you got to do to pick up out your yard so the kids don't step in it, you don't step in it, and your yard doesn't smell like feces all the time. So easy cleanup is what you're working for, and a healthy dog. You want a healthy coat. So you choose the food that you choose because of what you want to get out of it. When I say treats are food, treats are another form of food. So if you're feeding your dog one thing and you introduce a treat, the treat can do just like other foods can do to you. What do other foods do to you when you eat them? Sometimes they give you diarrhea, don't they? Well, that's what treats do to a lot of dogs. They give them diarrhea. Now you're dealing with a new problem, and dogs can't let you know they got diarrhea. You find out on the floor. Then you might get a little angry with that new carpet because your dog has diarrhea. Guess who gave your dog diarrhea? You did. Not only is the diarrhea bad for the dog, but it's going to dehydrate your dog, and it's going to make it a little sick. So treats, you can take them or leave them. But treats for behavior, that's sending a bad message to the dog, because the dog needs to work for you. I don't care if you got a Chihuahua, a German Shepherd, or whatever you have, Bichon or Bulldog. When you motivate a dog with appetite, you're sending the wrong message, because when you don't have food, ergo a treat, the dog's not going to do what you want it to do. Praise comes from you. When you praise the dog for doing the right behavior, the dog starts to learn what you want it to do. So understand that works with dogs, that works with people, that works with everything. If your timing is good and your praise is genuine, don't be phony about it, because they're reading you. So with your dog, the first thing is to establish some clear rules in your home, and then when they do it right after you show them, you want to squat down and get down there and praise the dog properly so they know that it's real. Behaviors come from you. If you miss something, then there's going to be some bad behaviors. If you get it right, there's only going to be good behaviors. A lot of people don't know this, so they say, well, my dog does this because of this. How do you know the reason why your dog is doing this? Did the dog send you a text? Did it email you? Did it come in your sleep through osmosis? We got to read the dog's body language and behavior and see what the dog is doing. And normally in, I say 90% of the households, what the dog is doing is somewhere other than where you are. The dog is in the other room doing what it needs to do. If the dog is in the other room doing something, you're not building a good line of communication. You're not building a stronger bond with your dog. Your dog is independent and doing what it's going to do. What I want to see is those independent dogs come pay Georgia Power. Yes, I said it. Because if you want to be the head of the house, the rules have to come from you. Now, a lot of people come and they ask about grooming. Grooming's a big thing because grooming also builds a good bond, because when your dog looks good, it makes you feel good. It's a happy thing. You want your dog to be groomed correctly by a groomer, but you want your dog to be handled correctly by you, so it's able to be handled correctly by the groomer. In handling the dog correctly, that means that you went and got some lessons. Now, there's a lot of good information out here about dogs. There's a lot of not so good information out here about dogs. What I challenge you to do is go and research and find the best information that you can have for your dog. All right, we got a caller calling in. This is Master Christian. You're on the air on the Master Christian Dog Show. How can we help you?
I was calling because I had a question.
Okay.
Is it necessary to socialize your dog? Like, do they need doggy friends and to go to the leash off park and all that kind of stuff?
It's not necessary to socialize your dog with other dogs unless you want the dog to run around with other dogs and do that. People walk up all the time and they say, can the dogs meet? And the dogs don't necessarily need to meet unless that's what you want them to do. What ends up happening is when the dogs meet, one of the dogs is a little more dominant than the other dog. So you end up in a slight dominance, a slight one dog's head is higher. Maybe the dog bites at your dog. Maybe the dogs are happy and they just snip each other's butts and they're cool with that. But you're taking a lot of chance. At the dog park, you're taking chances there too. And I'm not saying don't take chances, but know the chances that you're taking. At the dog park, you don't know if those dogs have been vaccinated. You don't know if the dogs are dominant. You don't want to take your dog in there and let your dog be dominated or your dog dominate another dog, because that's creating a new behavior. And a lot of people at the dog park are reading their book and not keeping up with their dog. So while your dog is running around, somebody might have left the gate open. Open gate, your dog is definitely going to leave unless y'all have that good line of communication and that good bond where your dog sticks next to you. Now, I've been to dog parks and I've seen the guy with the dog that he's throwing the ball and the dog goes get the ball and dogs are running by. Another dog might grab his ball. He finds another ball and brings it back to his master. They have a pristine situation going on, and that's a love bond that they've created between owner and dog. So, you know, the socialization is entirely up to you. I don't agree with a lot of things that people do, but what do I know? I'm just Master Christian. Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right, you have a great day.
You too.
So back to what we're talking about, that line of communication. Everybody needs a good line of communication with everybody they're talking to. You can't not do it. You have to be a part of what's going on. And like I said, humans are lazy. I see them riding around the parking lot trying to park close to the building. I even see people taking their dogs to the park and trying to park close to the park. You mean to tell me you don't want to get a good walk in before you get to the park? You don't want your dog to have some time with you before they get over here to total chaos? Because when you get to the park, the dog doesn't know. It's a clear state of panic because everything is hitting the dog at the same time. All the sounds, the smells, the sights, everything that's going on. It's kind of overwhelming. And then your dog is dragging you through the park. Let's try to get some heels in those dog people, because we need the dog to walk next to us. We got some more comments going on. Let's see. Question: how do I stop my dog from eating on my furniture? That's a thing that's going on with a lot of people, that the dogs are eating on their chairs, they're chewing on their couches, they're costing them money. The way to stop your dog from eating on the furniture is to stop your dog from eating on the furniture. That's going to take a little work from you. What I said about the leash, in your house, everything belongs to you. And until your dog knows how to exist in your house and be responsible for itself, it needs to be on leash. If your dog is free to go over there and chew on your furniture, then you're allowing that loss to happen, and then you're costing yourself money. Dogs shouldn't be free until they're ready to be free. It's like the cheese it. You notice how on the commercial they go talk to the cheese, and when the cheese cracks a joke, they stamp it not ready. That's your dog all the time in your house being free. So put it on leash, and if it can do what you need it to do on leash, then you're starting to work on that time that your dog is able to be free. But if you take it off leash and the dog doesn't listen to you, if it doesn't respond the way you need to, then the dog can go back on leash. When I say leash, that means the leash is in your hand. You can't tie your dog out in the house. You shouldn't tie your dog out in the yard. It's not learning anything. And we're studying the dogs all day, every day. You're watching what's going on. You see what's going on, but you're not able to take that information and use it. So let's use the information that we've assessed on the dog for a positive way. If you see your dog jumps on everybody that comes in your door, why would you let it run and jump on everybody that comes in the door? If you see your dog, and you don't have to catch the dog chewing on stuff, you can see that you have teeth prints in your furniture. I go over a lot of people's houses that don't even have dogs, and I say, oh, you got a dog? They say, no, not anymore. How did you know I had a dog? Look at your furniture. It's chewed up. Look at the edge of your wall. Different things are destroyed because we weren't attentive to the dog in our house. Dogs cannot have freedom until they earn it. That's just how it goes. Just like we don't have freedom until we earn it. If you run that red light, you run the risk of someone pulling you over and asking you for your license and wasting your time and taking a lot out your day. You need to be that puller over for your dog. If your dog is not doing it right, you need to reel them in, pull them over, and let them know, hey, I'm not going for that kind of behavior, because that's unacceptable. But you have to have the right state of mind when you pull it in and let it know. We're going to take a break. This is Christian on the Master Christian Dog Show on TheBeatDropsRadio.com, WBBE. It's getting a little better. This is Master Christian, and we're on the Master Christian Dog Show on TheBeatDropsRadio.com, WBBE. The call-in line is 404-826-9223. The listen-in line is 401-347-4718. We have a caller calling in with a question, so let's go. Caller, how can I help you?
Hi, Master Christian.
Hello.
When I let my dog run around in the backyard, there's a lot of stray cats, and then she likes to dig up the poop and eat it. How do I stop her from doing that?
Okay, so your dog is running free in the backyard and chasing the stray cats. Am I clear with that?
No, she's eating the cat poop.
Oh, she's eating the cat poop. So your dog is doesn't sound like it's ready to be free in the backyard. So when you take it out in the yard, you might want to put it on leash and direct it to the side of the yard you need it to go in. Once you start getting a little more control, then you can let the dog off leash. But you want to go out in the yard and find the cat poop and clean it up so the dog it's not available for the dog to eat. Have people that their dog go outside and eat rocks and eat dirt and all kind of stuff. And if you can't fix the problem, you remove the problem. So the cat poop needs to be removed, and if your dog is not behaving the way you need to, the leash is always available. I preach a lot of leash, and I don't mean keep your dog on leash at all times, but I mean be responsible and keep your dog safe. I'm sure cat poop is not a good thing for your dog to be eating ever. So you got to be a little more attentive. You got to use a little more of your energy, and you got to be out there stopping your dog from eating the cat poop, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Bianca,
Yes, sir.
why don't you have a dog?
I didn't want to. Number one, I mean, it's not like I don't like dogs. I did. I had a dog growing up. Even though the first one that we had, my mother used to chain him up, and he would jump over the fence and hang himself. Not like to the point where he couldn't breathe.
He was still hanging, though.
But he was hanging, and she would get up in the middle like seriously, and she would go throw him back over from the neighbor's yard. She had to go to the next door neighbor. They was fine with it. We had a nice couple that stayed next door. She would throw him back, and then she said, "Okay, put him in the middle of the yard."
Okay.
All right, so we can stop the hanging situation.
Okay, so she problem solved that issue.
Yeah, she worked with it.
Okay, so that's what everybody needs to do. If you see a certain behavior, if you see something going on with your dog, take a step back and say, how can I fix this? I watched the show one day, and they had a dog, I think it was maybe in Australia or it was somewhere else, and the wife was pregnant. They had a dog that kept jumping the fence. So they were out, and this show was on Animal Planet. They were out building the fence up. The fence went from 4 foot to 6 foot, from 6 foot to 8 foot. They started leaning the fence in, and the dog kept escaping. And the wife was pregnant. When she went into labor, she could not leave because the dog was outside. And she knew if she left, the dog was going to jump the fence. Now, never did I once see anybody that they had come over, anybody that suggested anything to do other than build the fence up, to put the dog on a leash and stop the behavior from going on. We got to work through these bad behaviors. If the dog is leaving, that means the dog doesn't need to be free to run around outside, because it's not safe when the dog leaves. The dog could get hit by a car. It's a whole manner of things that go on. And house dogs, domesticated dogs as we call them that live with us, they don't know about cars. Cars are safe things to them. So when they leave the house, they'll walk right out in front of a car because they ride in cars. The stray dogs know about cars because one day the stray dog and their little stray pack was roaming around, and one of their homies got hit by a car. This let them know cars are dangerous.
Right.
You know, they're able to learn if they have the opportunity. But we are so stuck in our ways as human beings that we keep trying to do the same thing over and over again. And you had a word for that on one of your shows. If we keep trying to do the same thing and we're looking for a different outcome, what's that word?
It's called insanity.
Oh, okay. So a lot of people are insane because they keep trying these things and they don't work for them. So what I'm going to say to you straight from the mouth of Master Christian, try something different. How about that? If you try something different, then you're definitely going to get a different outcome, because you just threw the dog off his game. The dog has sat there and evaluated you, and checked you out, watched you all day because it didn't have anything else to do. It knows every move you're about to make. So what I challenge you to do is make new moves, do new things. If you're used to going out the door and turning to the right, go out the door and go to the left. If you go out the front door all the time, go out the back door with the dog. Let the dog know that you are unpredictable and it cannot read you. Once the dog has to pay attention to you, then it's going to pay attention to you because it's looking for cues from you. If you don't have the cues for it to work off of, then the dog is going to do what it wants to do. Nothing with a brain can you control with your voice, people. Nothing with a brain. I can stand here with a cannon and tell Bianca to sit still. She don't have to sit still. And that goes for your dog too. Even when you scream and holler, it doesn't matter. People say, why use tones? Tones mean nothing. What the dog is working off of is fear, because your tone meant that you are angry, and the behavior that you're exhibiting means you're about to be violent. Let's stop whooping the dogs about things that are going on with us. It's going to be a dog every day, all day, 24 hours a day. It's non-stop dog. So let's be smarter people and be in on the game and start to stop the dogs from being 2 steps ahead of us, because we can be 10 steps ahead of them. We can schedule them. We can help them know what we want them to do and when we want them to do it. And we can stop them from costing us money. You're already going to have the vet that you got to pay. You might have a groomer that you got to pay. You got to pay for dog food. You got to pay for a lot of things. Some people buy their dogs clothes. I don't know if the dog needs clothes, but it's fine.
Let me ask you about that. Let me ask you.
Go ahead.
What's up with the dog clothes? I'm just saying, why are they putting sweaters? Don't the dogs have coats?
Well,
already?
This is the thing. Small dogs might need a sweater if they're out in the cold. But let me take it a little step further with what's up with the dog clothes, because I see people, a lot of people with my friends that are groomers, they bring large breed dogs, long-haired dogs, into the groomer to be shaved.
I'm sorry?
Shaved, yes, shaved. They're shaving German Shepherds, they're shaving Labrador Retrievers, and they're...
Put clothes on them?
No, not to put the clothes on them. They're shaving their fur off because they said the dog is too hot. The fur is insulation for the dog. The dog will adjust. Shaving these dogs, you're taking their natural defenses away from them. Putting clothes on them, you're blocking their fur. It's all right to do with your dog whatever you want to do, but just know that with every action comes a reaction. If it's dirt on your dog's fur and everything, and you put clothes on it, you might be holding that dirt in, because some people don't take the clothes off of the dog and let them breathe. Yeah, the dogs look cute, but are we here for cute or are we here for functionality? What are we here for? You see a lot of dogs with clothes on, huh?
I see dogs with clothes. I see dogs in purses.
Those are not purses, are they?
Yeah, the purse dogs.
They're bags, right?
Yeah, it's like a bag and they got dogs in them.
Hey, people pay a lot of money for some of those bags, for those little frou-frou lap dogs. And, you know, that's because it's like an accessory.
Yeah.
They have a living accessory, and that's what they're using a dog for. So it's not being used. Every single dog has a purpose, and it's in its breed. It was bred to do certain things. Well, we as human beings, we capture them and take them in, and we don't give them the purpose that they were made for. We give them a purpose that we want them to do. So they carry the dogs around because it's something that makes them feel good about themselves. And something else that makes people feel good about themselves is sitting around stroking on the dog, just petting the dog and petting the dog and petting the dog. That's not for the dog, because nowhere in the wild where the animals come from, are they going to be petted. Nowhere.
So petting is not a good thing?
Petting for a reason is a good thing.
Okay.
You want to use your love as praise. You want to get the maximum amount out of your dog from using the right kind of praise, because it's a weapon. That's your only weapon, is how you handle the dog. So the things that you're getting from the dog, you're creating. If you do the wrong things, you're going to create bad behavior. If you do the right things, it can only lead to good positive behavior. But until a lot of people are shown how to do these things, they don't know, because it's not just common sense. You know, common sense isn't common anyway. You know, my daddy used to beat the dogs, and everybody else and expected them to do what he said. And what I will say, his dogs listened to everything he said until they got hit by a car, because he didn't use any leashes either. And he thought if the dog was running, he could use his voice and make it come back. But that's not how it works. He built the wrong kind of bond by beating the dog and then trying to call the dog back to come back to him. Dog wasn't coming back. It was going after whatever it was going. Boom, car hit it, and I'm in the car riding to the vet. Maybe this dog is dead. Maybe this dog needs stitches. Maybe anything was going on. But, well, you know, it's been a long day, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. We're going to take another break. This is TheBeatDropsRadio.com. So this has been the first show of TheBeatDropsRadio.com and Master Christian. Episode 1 has been about building a better line of communication and relationship between you and your dog. Episode 2, we'll tell you next week. Y'all have a great day, and be good to your dog, because your dog will be good to you. If you on your game, then you'll have a happy and healthy household. This is Master Christian, and I'll see you next week. I thought we had a